Do you remember when one summer felt almost endless? A few childhood weeks could feel like an entire chapter filled with discoveries, freedom, and new experiences. Now January arrives, you blink, and suddenly people are preparing for Christmas again. Somehow, an entire year seems to disappear before you notice it. Every minute still contains 60 seconds, no matter how old you are. So why does time seem to accelerate as we grow older? The first kind is experience time, the seconds and minutes passing while an event is actually happening around you in the present moment. The second kind is remembered time, how long a day, holiday, or entire year seems when you later look back on it. When you are bored and watching the clock, 1 minute can feel unusually long because your attention remains fixed on time itself. When you become absorbed in a game, conversation, or creative project, you stop monitoring the clock, and several hours may feel like minutes. Here is the paradox. An enjoyable experience can feel short while happening, yet large in memory because it creates many vivid details. A repetitive day may feel slow in the moment, but later it barely exists as a separate and clearly identifiable memory. One popular theory says that at age 10, a single year represents roughly 10% of your entire life so far. At age 50, 1 year represents only about 2%, making each new year seem much smaller compared with everything before it. This proportional idea is intuitive and memorable, but it cannot fully explain how our experience of time changes across an entire lifetime. Childhood is packed with first experiences, school, close friendships, journeys, celebrations, and discoveries that feel completely new, important, and emotionally powerful. A first school day demands attention because your brain does not yet know what will happen, who you will meet, or what to expect. Learning to ride a bicycle creates unfamiliar sounds, movements, emotions, and challenges that are different from anything you experienced before. A first journey fills your mind with unfamiliar places, people, smells, and events, producing many distinctive memories within a short period. New experiences demand more mental attention because the brain cannot rely entirely on predictions, habits, or routines it already understands. Adult life often begins with the same alarm, the same coffee, the same clothes, and the same predictable morning routine each day. We travel the same road so often that the journey becomes automatic, leaving very few new details for memory to store. The workplace may contain similar tasks, conversations, and surroundings each day, causing one workday to blend quietly into another. Routine saves valuable mental energy, but it can also place large parts of everyday life on psychological autopilot without us noticing. Imagine childhood memories stored inside a box filled with different objects, places, emotions, surprises, and important first experiences from growing up. The adult routine box may contain many copies of nearly the same day, making those days difficult to separate later in memory. When experiences are extremely similar, memory may compress them into one general summary instead of preserving many distinct individual events. This helps explain why the last 5 or 10 years can seem surprisingly short when viewed from the present moment. Age differences appear more clearly when people judge long periods, like years or decades, rather than one ordinary hour or afternoon. Adult life also brings work, bills, appointments, errands, family duties, and responsibilities that constantly compete for our limited attention. When the mind is always focused on the next responsibility, it has less attention available for the present moment unfolding now. The calendar can become crowded with activity, yet the months may still feel strangely empty when we later try to remember them. A quick phone check begins innocently, with one notification asking for only a few seconds of your attention and curiosity. Soon, your attention is divided into dozens of tiny fragments, without one clear event holding the moment together in memory. The minutes remain occupied, but they may leave behind very little that feels personally meaningful, vivid, or memorable afterward. Boredom can stretch subjective time because every passing second becomes noticeable, uncomfortable, and increasingly difficult for the mind to ignore. Enjoyable engagement does the opposite. Attention moves toward the experience itself, allowing the clock to disappear almost completely from awareness. Emotional experiences can later become powerful memory landmarks, making one meaningful evening feel larger than several ordinary weeks combined. The brain does not contain one simple clock that permanently speeds up every time you celebrate another birthday. Attention helps determine whether you notice the clock, the activity, or the small details surrounding an experience in real time. Memory determines how much detail remains when you later judge the size, length, and richness of a period in your life. Emotion and context also shape whether a moment feels slow, fast, ordinary, threatening, exciting, or deeply meaningful to you. A repetitive young person may feel time racing, while a curious older person can experience a rich and memorable year. To make life feel less compressed, begin by adding controlled novelty to days that would otherwise feel completely ordinary and predictable. Learn a small skill, try an unfamiliar hobby, visit somewhere nearby, or explore a subject you normally ignore completely. Novelty does not require expensive travel or dramatic change. Small differences can give an ordinary day its own clear identity. Pause and notice specific details: the temperature of the air, nearby sounds, your drink, or someone's facial expression. Protect meaningful moments from interruption by putting the phone away during meals, conversations, walks, hobbies, and creative work whenever possible. Photographs, journals, milestones, and planned experiences can divide a blurry year into clear, distinct, and memorable chapters. At the end of each week, ask what was new, what mattered, and what you genuinely want to remember later. You cannot add more hours to the year, but you can help those hours leave a deeper, richer, and more meaningful trace.